Muy buenas, yo soy Carlos Cadillac, disfrutando este tiempo del Navidad. Yo quiero cantar una canción por ti, que me gusta mucho. Se llama Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on your troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on your troubles will be miles away. But have yourself a merry little Christmas night. Ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Cadillac. Carlos Cadillac on my little program here. As you can imagine, I am over the moon with that. What a thrill to have one of the greatest vocalists during the festive season coming here and singing such a beautiful rendition of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Carlos, te agradezco. Muchas gracias. Gracias por estar uno de los grandes en este nivel. Sorry. It's just, that doesn't happen every day. So thank you, Carlos. Welcome into full time. Sorry I wasn't around last week. I was worn out. That's all it was. That's the only reason I did not record. So we're going to get a good following here. So this is a good little program. I have such big plans for 2020. I have such big plans. Get used to the expression soccer OG because it's coming in a big way. This is a great time. Next week, I'm going to have my year in review, look ahead program. This time, there's so much stuff to talk about. You know, everyone's talking about best teams of the decade, Premier. There's no reason to really talk about it because there's so much good stuff happening right now in this sport. You have the Club World Cup, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. You have the festive season, obviously, in the Premier League. You had a El Clasico a few days ago. All the leagues winding down right here to the bumper of Christmas time. You have a Apertura Championship for Mexico on the 26th and the 31st, I believe. This is amazing. So much good stuff to watch. So we're looking at here. And part of that, this holiday season, obviously, is the schedule you get in the Premier League. It is extensive, and we look forward to seeing a lot of it because, you know, after you eat, you want to turn the TV on. It's great to see sports, especially early on in the day here in the United States. So we really do appreciate it. I wish, some other leagues could find a way to be more active there. I don't want the players to work on Christmas. I know, it's nice to everyone have that time off. I have it off this year. Not every year, but this year I do. So we do have the English Premier League calendar. We had a game at Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. By the way, Jose Mourinho's results are all over the place. I don't know what's going on with that club. But that's not the big story to come out of here. I know the big story, basically reading the papers, listening to TalkSport on SiriusXM, was an incident that happened where Tony Rudiger, Chelsea defender, who is black, was running back, and there was some objects thrown near him that you could see, and he made a gesture of the monkey sound that unfortunately is all too familiar in this sport these days. In other countries, supposedly, not in England, but it happened, and he reacted. Well, look, these are allegations, but regardless if it's true or not, and Tony Rudiger sounds like a stand-up guy, and Cesar Azpilicueta, the captain, and Frank Lampard are standing behind him, and I there's no reason to see him inventing something like this. It may be just two jerks in the stadium. It might be two jerks. But this is part of the issue that we have to squash this. If it's two jerks, it's easier to squash it out. Squash it out. So regardless if this happened or not, it's still a problem because it happened elsewhere. We saw it with Manchester City fans not too long ago. And again, this is not a indication of the support of these clubs. 99.9% are great. But there's 0.1%, and in the English Premier League, which is the global league, it is absolutely 100% unacceptable, and everything has to be done to eliminate this. It really shouldn't happen in 2019, regardless of what could have been. And again, it's the two people. Security during the game, there was 3 announcements, which, give me a break. Give me a break. That makes everyone in the stadium feel terrible and guilty. It's 3 announcements. It's 1 announcement. What it requires is 1 announcement, some of your security going, this is the guy, some other fans going, this is the guy. Fans, if you're outraged, do it. There he is. He said it. Let's squash it. Everyone's got to be part of it. I just don't think there's enough being done. You feel like the same thing. Oh, it's a travesty to see this. And then, these warnings and yada, yada, yada. This is, by the way, London. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur Chelsea is a hot ticket. This is a highbrow to go there. This is like, this is the North London and West London, these clubs that go to, the nicer parts of town. So these are, honestly, you'd least expect it. But maybe I'm way off base even saying that. And I apologize if I offended anyone with that. But honestly, I think the expectation is that that's the place where it wouldn't happen. But it did. And then it kind of goes on. And again, allegations, that did not happen. I don't know. But this happens way too frequently. So I'm going to get into a couple points here, because I sent a tweet out and I said, England, you have a soccer racism problem. Don't cast guilt towards Bulgaria and Italy, who have much worse racist problems. The reason is if you don't want to live in a glass house, if you're going to throw stones. If you want to be strict about it, you got to say, look what we do in our league. Set a standard. All right, so Gary Neville got a viral reaction on Sky Sports. He shared his thoughts. He was right about many things. He did politicize it, though, and he said that, there's this new government, new prime minister, and, they encourage racism. Now, those were not his words, but they don't deny racism, which, absolutely anywhere they say racism, no, there is no room for it. Just say it outright. Whether that's been said or not, I don't know. I don't know about British politics. Enough about British politics. I don't know about Brexit. I would like to know more about it. It's hard enough to follow on the U.S. side with politics. As much as I try, it's difficult. Excuse my cough. A little time of season. It's a little dry around here. So he was right about a lot of things. But this was something that existed in English football long before Boris Johnson arrived. So the new prime minister was there. I would imagine he hasn't done anything to help it, but this is something that was there before him. So I don't want this to be politicized, because this is an issue, and the PFA wants a government inquiry, and they should get one. But this is an issue for the teams and the leagues, because this is their problem. These are their stadiums. These are their players that they have to protect. They have to come out and say, zero tolerance in our stadiums against our players. You do this, and you're a fan, prepare for the ramifications. Do not wait for the government, because now we have a pecking order of what the reaction's supposed to be. And now we're even getting to the point where players are being asked to walk off the field when it happens, which would be incredible bravery. And Gary Neville even said that, but he also said, I never did it in my day. So Gary Neville, if you didn't do it in your day, to put that a burden on someone else, I don't think that's a point you can make. I don't think it should be coming. The players have to walk out pretty much at this point. It's so bad. But it's a reaction of the lack of action that's happening in other places. So it's very disappointing. In the big picture, it's awful what's happening in Italy. It's awful. It's worst case scenario awful. And the English national team who criticized Bulgaria for doing these things, and they did. There was taunts. There was all sorts of... It's awful. But the English Premier League, which is the global league, which is huge amongst a white audience, a black audience, an Asian audience, a Hispanic audience, has to set that example. Has to set this act as zero tolerance. We have no racism here. This is a global league catering to everyone. A black audience may not watch the Italian league or what's happening in Bulgaria. In the English Premier League, they do. And that's got to be their safe place. And the English league has to take that completely seriously to make sure it never happens. It's disappointed a lot of people with all of that. Jose Mourinho, when the referees were telling him that they were stopping it because of racism, kind of asked the ref to stop his clock. I know he's in the throes of that, but he claims he is zero tolerance on all of this. And he was pretty flippant on it all. Tony Rudiger, who was also involved in a tackle with Son Heung-min, and he played out. He mentioned to Rudiger, I hope he recovers from his broken ribs. Very sarcastically, I go, this is not the time to talk about that. Jose Mourinho. Very disappointing on how he handled it. You don't have to say it. He goes, just go, look, if this is true, we want to squash it. Sorry we have to dedicate so much time to that, but it's the topic, and I feel strongly about it. But, yeah, and maybe I'm on both sides a bit, but I think it is. Maybe we should politicize it. But I don't think that's the time right now. This is the leagues. This is the teams. This is your problem. You fix it. All right, let's change subjects here. First, I covered the FIFA Club World Cup took place, and I really enjoyed it. Now, in my days at Fox Sports World, I covered this Club World Cup from the beginning. In 2000, they had it in Brazil. It was an 8-team tournament. It was weird. Teams didn't know what was going on. It was an all-Brazil final. I believe it was Vasco da Gama and Corinthians. Manchester United, Real Madrid were in there, and they were like, what is this? So there's been a lot of hiccups along the way. Generally, the European and South American teams rise to the top. There have been a couple oddities where an Asian team made a final or an African team made a final, which is great for the competition because you want that to feel big. I think this tournament was on life support by and large for a lot of reasons. It doesn't seem like it was going anywhere, but this past edition gave me hope that there may be something to it. You had a semifinals, incredibly captivating and competitive. Liverpool beat Monterrey of Mexico. It was 1-1 into stoppage time. Roberto Bobby Firmino scoring late. And then in the other semifinal, Flamengo were trailing Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia, a team in the Middle East, which spends a lot of money. Sebastian Jovinko of MLS fame is there. Xavi's their coach. These are two great semifinal. Pardon, not Xavi. I got that wrong. Yes. But anyway, he was in another team. They have a lot of important games being played there. I really enjoyed it. This felt like it could have actually been Al Hilal Monterrey in the final. It was interesting for Liverpool, who have been running through the English Premier League, and this is a different circumstance, and they have a loaded fixture schedule, but they struggled with these teams from South America and from North America. Made one think a little bit. There's a lot of things I'd like to see improve on this league, but first of all, I want to give my hat off to Liverpool. They are the team of the year. They showed defensive grit. They scored a lot of goals, but when they needed the defense to come in, they did it. So hats off to Liverpool. As you'll see next week, they are my team of the year. There's no doubt about it. They'll return home. They prepare to take on Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, and they'll have a couple fixtures, one that's been rescheduled already from this festive season. And they've got a huge lead. They don't want to take that for granted, obviously, but they've got to feel really comfortable as they come back, the World Club champions. And being able to say you're the best club in the world, that's got to feel good because it wasn't easy. And Liverpool now respects that a lot more. I would love to see this tournament move west a little bit in the future. Next year, it's going to be in Qatar again. In 2021, it's going to be in China. After that, FIFA wanted to expand it, and UEFA's pushing back, and I don't blame them. Word of a 24-team tournament, it's like, no. I mean, 7-team tournament's not great, but 24 teams not going to work. Expanding on everything is not the solution. And it's already complicated for these teams. Liverpool had to move heaven and earth to be part of it, so don't burden them with more games. Liverpool don't show up till about a week after the tournament's already started, so there you have it. All right, one last topic I want to get to. Real Madrid, for the first time since 2006, have tied games, had scoreless ties in back-to-back games. First one against Barcelona at their place, and then Athletic Bilbao, scoreless. A lot of people are starting to ask whether Real Madrid, and Zinedine Zidane in particular was asked whether they should go out and sign a striker. He said absolutely not. After making history for the first time in 13 years, not scoring a goal, I would think, yeah, that's what you got to do. And Real Madrid are in a tough position because their round of 16 matchup in February is against Manchester City, who looked incredible this past weekend against Leicester City. They tore Leicester City to shreds. It was a little, hey guys, this is the order of things around here. Real Madrid would need some help. But what do you do if you're Zinedine Zidane? You are loaded with talent that hasn't really paid off up till now. They were actually pretty good in this game against Bilbao. 20 shots, 8 on goal. Unai Simon, the Bilbao goalkeeper, if you haven't heard that name, keep it in your memory banks because he is a star on the horizon. But Real Madrid have talent everywhere. They just haven't developed. Karim Benzema has 12 goals. There's no other guy who scored close to that. The two young Brazilians, Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo, still young. You can't really depend on them, but they get minutes. Eden Hazard's been dealing with all sorts of injury issues. Luka Jovic is on the bench. Gareth Bale is on the bench. Luka Jovic cost $70 million. It hasn't worked out. He was supposed to be that second option. Maybe he doesn't work out. But I don't think you can sign a forward. Not a long-term kind of forward. You know, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been mentioned. The thoughts of Kylian Mbappe, but he's not coming at this time. So what do you do? I don't think you could do anything if you're Real Madrid. You must have faith in Zinedine Zidane and see what he can do. I think they looked good in these games. They just didn't score. But I still think Manchester City gets through in the round of 16. And I hope you get through the holiday season in wonderful spirits. Please subscribe to Full Time. Leave some comments. I would love to answer your questions on there. I am here for you. And, I'll let Carlos Cadillac know you guys loved his concert. Thank you very much.